for yesterday's debacle. Today is October the 10th, and we are hoping this works. Sometimes we have technology problems, and it just kind of matters. What? Today is the 11th. So the 10th was the debacle day. Thank you for reminding me. And the 11th, yes, my children are having to remind me because I haven't changed the board yet, that the 11th is today. So my big thing is today that it is the day before a test. I really want your brain to kind of get with me, okay? So let's put the water bottles down. Thank you. Let's get with me. Here we go. So I'm going to start out by going over last night's homework. I realized that. We probably did about 4 or 5 in class. So I'll kind of show those answers, and then maybe, let me fix this up, we can kind of go on from there. I got to lock the focus. 1 second. Okay. So we probably did 1, 2, 3, and 4 in class yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to kind of scooch it down in case you're checking your work at home for some reason. 1 second. Number 1 was 2 7s. Okay, now, start with about number 4 and 5. This is probably where you need to start checking. Three, 4, and 5. Okay. 3, 4, and 5. All this is one kid didn't do the simplifying, so they asked me about the big numbers. So if you did the big numbers, you still have to simplify by 3 to get the 2855s. But either way, it's 2855s. Yes. Okay, but listen, the only time you would have like 2.5, which is a mixed number, is when the top number is bigger than the bottom. I have an issue because you don't have your homework. I'm not. Like 49 should be on the bottom, and 24 is on the top. So like, it would divide twice if the top number was 49. Okay, that'll work. Listen, if you are not checking or whatever, I need you to, let me put it this way. If you didn't do your homework last night, but you're wanting to write down you've got to just write down the answers. I need you to turn around also so you can write down the answers.
Oh, yeah. I just didn't copy the problem.
Didn't copyright? Okay. So I'm going to kind of keep going. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. And this is the front of last night's October the 10th homework. This is the multiplying. I know this was huge, but guys, we should be able to divide and multiply. 19 times 19 is 361. Listen, stop with these for just a second. Does anyone have a question on number 5? Okay, 6. 7. Okay. But think about it this way. Like, my best hint I can give you is this. 4 times what is close to 36? So, like, when you're doing, like, the division part of it, so look right here. if you're doing 40 into 361, can you see that up there? Okay, so 40 can't go into 3, can't even go into 36. So I got to get as close with 4 times something. Like if you did 4 times 8 is 32. All it is you could have done 4 times 9 is 36 with the 0 on the end. You just could have gotten a little closer. That's the only, so it's 9 and 1/40th. That's how I got it. You just could have gotten a little closer. Uh-huh.
I got confused on number 8.
Did you do big numbers or do the cross simplify?
Cross.
Okay, so did you get a 1 here and a 2 there? Okay, and did you have 19 over 2? Okay, 2 times 9 is 18. A lot of people had an 8 there, just thinking it was 18. So, yeah, it's just 9. Okay, going back up. Someone asked me about one up here, number 4.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it right. Okay. Listen, I need you to kind of stick with me. If you get my drift, it just kind of makes it faster in here. That's all. Okay, so let's go to division. I will say this. On division, you need to check before flipping out if your answer's wrong. Did you keep change flip? Because if you don't keep change flip, it's not going to be right.
What's number 8?
Guys, it's been up here for a while. Please, guys, work with me. Are we good now on the front?
I got 2 and 1/2.
Did you have 19 twos?
I just didn't have 5. When I was doing 14 times 1 plus 5, I didn't use that 5.
Oh, okay. That will make a difference. Good. Good. Listen, it's like I told my last class. If you're making a mistake and you're finding it, as long as you're not making the same mistake every time, you're good. Like, I know you're not going to do that. Like each kid, if you will find your mistakes. I've had kids tell me that this is 1. Okay, 4 divided by 1 is 4. So, like, if you will find your mistakes, that's why I go over homework. I really need you to be done with the snacks. It's been too much time, and you need to get concentrated to get your drift. Okay, so does anybody have a question about 9? Because I'm not going back to it in 10 minutes if you do. I guess I'm being mean. But, number 9. You got a question about number 9? Number 9? Okay, did you do big numbers? Or did you cross simplify?
Oh.
Okay, so you multiplied 34 times 5?
Wait.
Yeah, that would be 1 and that would be 2. So that's it. It's just simplified. Yep, it's just the cross simplified. So you just switch the numbers. Yes?
I got this first 4.
Okay. You good? Okay, so number 10, any questions? How I got 4? Okay, number 11, how I got 2.5? Oh, it's 13, yeah. It's okay. It's just outside the line. It's 13. Anybody 12 or 13? 13, okay. So give me just a second. 1 second. Fix this up. Okay, so 13. This is where some people are stuck. So let's see. Did you do the cross simplifying or did you do big numbers?
I think cross simplifying.
Did you get the 1 and the 4?
I did 9 and 3.
That's what's wrong. 9 times 3 is 27. That'll do it. As long as you have the rest right. Okay. Listen, this is why we practice. It's totally different if you miss one problem or you cross simplify wrong on one problem. That's why we practice. Yes.
I got 36.
13?
Yeah.
Did you do big numbers?
Well, I used to get 7 plus 28 9.
Did you flip it?
Yeah, I flipped it. And then like 7 and 28. Oh,
7 times 4 is 28?
wait a second. Cross simplifying.
Okay. So think about it this way. 7 goes into 7 ones. 7 goes into 28 4.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay? Listen. I wish you all would look for just a second. Because even if you're getting them right, or if you've made small errors, okay, there's not a ton of ways to check your work. But what you can do is this, okay? So let's say Christian or whoever might know that, cross simplifying, not positive if I did it right, looks kind of weird, whatever. You can work it both ways. So let's say on the test, you have extra time tomorrow. You can take a problem, let me find one. Let's see, some of you have asked me about this one, this number 13. Okay, so right here, you did cross simplifying, and you're not sure if it's right. Well, what if we worked with the big numbers? So what if I did 7 times 9 is what? 63. And 1 times 28 would be 28. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to divide that. I'm going to divide 63 by 28. Well, 28 times 2 is 56. Yep, 7. So here's my answer I would get. 2 and 7 28ths. Well, look, is up. What's wrong? Before I circled it, I should have simplified. Listen, it simplifies by what? 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 7 into 28? 4. Now I'm done. Does it look like the answer I have up there? Yes. So it's kind of like a way to check your work. If you want to do the cross simplifying, and if you have spare time, try to do the big numbers, you should get the same answer. It just takes extra work to triple check your work. Okay? Now, here is the plan. We're going to do a study guide together. I'm going to give you some massive hints. Massive. I sat with the test this morning for about an hour, and I looked over it and made sure, I taught everything on this test. Okay, so I'm going to give you some massive hints if you kind of focus and if you get with me. Especially on some word problems, because we have not exactly done a ton, okay? So, if you will get with me, you really want to. You want your brain to get focused as we go through this thing, okay? Mm-hmm. If you want, this first part is honestly, we can kind of write it on here, but then I'm going to pull out notebook paper when we get to what I call the boring math problems, like 1 through 7. So, Here's 4. Pass it back. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So, we're going to do as much of this thing in class as you can. You're welcome. Everybody get one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Huh? Yeah, you or you can use this one. I don't know if it's even sharp. You can go sharpen that one if you want. So, this is the study guide that they are getting today in class. Today it is 3rd period. And basically in class, I want to make sure that I talk about word problems. Okay? You good? Okay, I'm over here then. It's fine. Now, listen. So we're going to kind of skip these for just a minute. And I'm going to kind of go down to number 8. Because I want to talk to you about it. Okay? Now, hint, hint. 8 and 9 are super important. Everybody get a pencil out. Kind of get with me. Okay. I'm going to do my best to try to explain why this math is the way it is, because it's kind of confusing sometimes. Okay, so let's look at 8. Listen, please don't be doing the top. Get with me. Okay, here we go. On number 8, it says 3 friends have 585 pieces of candy. John has 3 nights of the candy. Sally has 2 nights of the candy. And Smarty has 4 nights of the candy. How many pieces of candy does Sally have? So the first thing I want you to do is to realize to kind of focus in on that one person. They're not really caring about the other 2 people, okay? Sally's fraction is 2 nights. Is that good so far? Okay. So I want you to think about it this way. She has 2 nights of the candy. So she has 2 nights of 585 pieces of candy. So I want you to think about it this way. She has 2 nights of 585 pieces of candy. Here's the big hint. Of means multiply. Of means multiply. A lot of mathematicians don't love us saying that because they don't want you to look into a library book and every time you see of, think multiply, okay? Because it doesn't always mean multiply. But in math world, this is kind of the way I say it. If you read a word problem and you don't see anything that brings you to addition and anything that brings you to subtraction, see if the word of is in there, because it's asking you is what is this chunk of this amount? And if you can get that of means multiply, look how easy this is. Change it to multiply. 2 nights times 585. Well, we've been doing this for 2 weeks, honestly, the multiply. Think about it. 2 nights times 585 over 1. We've been doing this. This is where we can cross simplify. This is our magic box. So listen, I'm going to give you a huge hint. It simplifies. 9 goes into 585. So 9 goes into 9 once. 9 goes into this. 9 times 6 is 54. And then 45 is left, so it is 65. Okay, so we'll slow down. Look, there is a 2 hanging out over here. So we got to do 2 times 65. 130 over 1, so it equals, okay, 130 pieces of candy. But I want you to think about that answer. It is a lot, but if you've got 585 pieces, think about the fractional amount. Is 2 nights, if you have 2 nights of a pizza, do you have a lot of the pizza or just a little bit? You really do. And I know it sounds like she's got a ton of the candy, but she doesn't. She has a little bit of the 585 pieces. It kind of makes sense. What stopped me when I was in your shoes, when I was probably in 6th grade, is I could never realize that that fraction is going to probably turn into a whole number or ever make sense. But it kind of does if you think of it of, in the end, your answer is what they're getting of the other amount. So she gets 130 pieces of 585. Yes?
Can I have a study guide for
Yes. Yes.
You said I should having 30 pieces, and we might eventually have much because there's a total of 455 pieces.
Left? Okay. And they might ask you that, to be honest. Either that or I'll tell her when I have her. It's up to you. Yeah. And you're right. Listen, they ask what Sally has. They might ask you what Sally and John have together. They can change these questions up. Is there a John? Yeah, there is a John. Sorry. They might ask you, what is left over. So you just got to watch the questions, okay? You good? Uh-huh.
Figured it out.
Okay.
So you focus on, it says Sally has 2 bags of the candy, and then it says how many pieces of candy does Sally have, so you just look for the
That's why I went with Sally, yes. Since Sally's in the question, that's the only reason I picked Sally. So they might have asked you how many do Sally and John have. Well, you would have had to figure out Sally, figure out John, and then add them together. Interesting, okay? So let's look at the next one. Now that we've learned of means multiply, look at this. In the $1 Million Marching Band, 2/5 of the students play drums. So there's all these other instruments, but 2/5 of them play drums.
And you see the word of.
Okay, now don't jump on of yet. Keep reading. If there are 560 students in the band, how many students play drums? Well, they've already said that 2/5 play drums, right? So 2/5 of what? 560. Listen, the rest play flutes and clarinets and all that good stuff. Okay, so 2/5 of means multiply 560 over 1. Okay, I take this. I think of it. Does it simplify? Yes. It's not pretty, but it simplifies. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 560. 112. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 6 once. And then there'd be 10 left. So 5 goes into 10 twice.
I was thinking of 5 times 100, and then I saw that 60. I was like,
I know. Slow down. Now 1 times 1 on the bottom. 112 times 2 is 224. So 224 kids play what? Drums. Listen, on that one, what they can do is ask you, how many play the other instruments? Well, if they ask you the other instruments, what would you have to do?
you have to
Subtract, right? Subtract that from the 560. Okay, listen, think about it. Does your fraction make sense? If 2/5 play drums, isn't 2/5 almost half? Okay, so think about that. 2/5 is almost half. So is this almost half of 560?
Yes.
Yes. So when you're doing this, there's other ways to kind of check your work. Does it make sense what I did? Okay? So, those are the two multiplying. Hint, hint. Okay? Listen. They won't be the same tomorrow numbers, but a lot of the same kind of thing. Okay, let's go to 18. Here we go. On 18, it says, suppose a hurricane traveled 130 miles from a point in the Atlantic Ocean to the Florida coastline in 6.5 hours. How many miles per hour did the hurricane travel? Now, I want you to think about this for just a second. The big amount that this thing has traveled is the 130 miles.
So you have to divide 6 and 1/3 by 130.
Okay, so they want you to break it into chunks. Yes.
So it has to be what kind of problem?
Division. Yes, because we're breaking it into chunks. But listen, slow down. What number should be first? What are we chunking up? What big number? The 130. Yes, we're taking 130 and we're dividing it by 6.5. We're breaking it up. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So slow down. 130 over 1 divided by 13 over 2, right? Okay. 13 over 2, but listen, it is division, so we have to keep, change, flip. This is the part we sometimes forget. Looking for a different color. Here we go. We're going to keep 130 over 1, change it to multiply, and flip over the 2 over 13.
It does simplify.
Yes, and I love that part of it because listen, we aren't trying to make you stress out. Listen, they simplify. 13 goes into 13 once. 13 goes into 130. 10. 10 times 2 is 20. Once, which equals 20 miles per hour. Because 10 times 2. Okay. Listen, think about the logic behind this. Does it make sense that if you win a total of 130 and you're making big chunks, it's 20? Like, it makes sense. Like, how far did it break down? Does that help a little bit? Okay. Yes, and start out by thinking, listen, whatever the big group is you're trying to break up is first. Okay? So look at number 19. How many 3/4 foot lengths of pipe can be cut from a 6 1/3 foot pipe? Listen, I've used this at the house before. Listen, think about it this way. If I have this whole wall, and it is 6 1/3, and I'm trying to make little chunks that are 3/4, what is the big number that I'm trying to break up? 6 1/3. That has to go first. 6 1/3, and we're going to divide it into chunks of 3/4. I've done this, like, for whatever reason at the house. It may not be pipe, but something else. So I get 19/3 divided by 3/4. I need to keep, change, flip because it is division. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't cross simplify, but it's also not too bad. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 9 is 36, and I get 76 on top. This shouldn't be that bad. How many 9s are in 76?
8.
8, because it is
62.
72. So 72 to 76 is
8 and 4 ninths.
4, right, 4 ninths. Think about it. Does that make sense that 8 chunks, like they would make 8 chunks out of that 6.5 foot pipe? Okay, so it'd be 8 and 4 ninths foot lengths.
This isn't that hard.
It's not. It's just we haven't covered it, and by explaining it, it really helps.
Aren't you supposed to write the as we go?
Yes. Listen, I can't make you right, guys. That's all I can tell you. Okay, now I want to review this real quick. Starting out, the vocab. The vocab is listed right here. To be honest, you should have the vocab from Tuesday. We've got all these words. We had improper, we had mixed, numerator, denominator, fraction. Okay, so that was the notes from the night that you can study. But there is one extra chunk of study I want to talk about. Hint, hint. Large hint, hint. I've been doing this a while, and I'm going to tell you 2 things that kids miss. Okay, the word reciprocal. So if we ask you the reciprocal of something like 6/7, what is the reciprocal of 6/7? 7/6. Okay, everybody gets that one right. Everybody's good. I will say this. It just stays that way. Don't change it to a mixed number. You just want to flip it over. That. Just leave it. That is the answer. Okay. But here's the other one that the world misses. Listen, I'm trying to help you. Here we go. The other one is something like this. 1.5. What is the reciprocal of 1.5? Here is the thing. You got to change it to an improper before flipping it. So you've got to do 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. But when you flip it for reciprocal, it is 2/3. You've got to remember to change it to improper before giving me the answer for reciprocal.
So should we write improper?
Change mixed to improper? You can. You can just write down these examples however you want to do it. There's one of each style on the test. Like they're not the same numbers, but the same kind. Now, the last one I shouldn't talk to you about because now that I've talked about of means multiply, it shouldn't be too bad. But I want you to look at something. Here we go. I gotta find it. Okay. I know, I try to get organized, but life throws me lemons sometimes. Okay, so here's a question that looks just like what's on tomorrow's test. Okay, and you don't have to write all the words, just kind of get with me here. It says, Stacy has 9 blocks to make a tower. Yes? Yes. It says Stacy has 9 blocks to make a tower. And we've even got a picture down here of what her tower looks like, okay? Exactly 1/3 of the blocks will be painted blue. What is the total number of the blocks that will be painted blue? Now think about what they're asking. What are they asking? What is what?
What blocks will be
Blue. And what fraction are they working with? 1/3. Does that represent the blue ones? Okay. So what they're asking is, what is 1/3 of how many? 9. What is 1/3 of the 9 blocks? Can we do that math? Yes. What is 1/3 times 9 ones? How many blocks are painted blue? I couldn't say it. 3. 3 are painted blue. Listen, it is, sometimes you just kind of have to slow down and think about it. And don't just jump on the first answer you think of. The other thing they could ask you, so how many aren't blue?
3.
6. There you go, 6. I'll take it. They might even ask you that. You got to look at the words and kind of pull it apart and see if it makes sense. It will not be 1/3, and I don't think it's 9, but it looks like it tomorrow. Don't just tell me it's 3. You got to do some math to figure it out tomorrow, okay? But I want to give you a hint of what it looks like. What is blank of blank? Fraction of the amount. Okay, so listen. Now, you might want a piece of paper. I'm going to work some with you on the regular math problems. Just the practice problems that are right here on the front top. If you want to get ahead of me, start number 1. I'm just starting with these. What I will do is, if this video world keeps working, my plan is probably to video all these problems. It'll probably be a separate video, but I plan on trying to work them out and send them out so you can check them. Okay? If the video world keeps working. Guys, you should be doing these with me. I'm on number 1. You should be doing it with me. Honestly, you should probably be ahead of me at this point. Okay, good question. It's not 6, but what number does go into both of those? 3. So 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 15 5. Does that help a little bit? Good. I'm glad you asked that. Listen, it's common that it's not the exact number. Like, it's not 6. It's other numbers. Yes, I am hoping, as long as my technology keeps working. Sounds goofy, but it locked up 3 times yesterday, and I gave up. Yes? Okay, please stop. We should all be getting problems done. Please, guys, there's only a few minutes left, and we should be writing these problems down. Yes?
If you already simplified, can you simplify that number as another number?
As long as you're doing tops and bottoms. Yes. Now I'm kind of worried. Which one are you talking about?
I was talking about number 3, but then I realized that I couldn't simplify it anymore.
Okay. But yes, you can keep simplifying as long as every time you do a top and a bottom, you can simplify 100 times. As long as you know you're doing it right each time. That's the only thing.
Number 4 is
Number 4, listen. Let me, before I move on real quick.
It's just
Yeah, it's of means multiply. So 4/5 times 3025 over 1. But we should be able to, it simplifies. 5 into 5 once, 5 into that. Okay? I am going to stop the video here. This is where you are going to want to finish this study guide, meaning the 1 through 7. And I would finish 10 through 17 before I watch the next video. Okay? In most of my classes, I've gotten 3 or 4 in each class, but I must have gone a little bit slower in this one because I was videoing. Keep working. And then watch my second video if you want the rest of the answers. 1 second. I'm trying.